YouTube, what is going on? Crowder here, and if you guys don't know who I am or you're new to the channel, I'm an ex-World Champion Call of Duty player, now the head coach of Atlanta FaZe, and I am here to give you everything you need to know about console, Warzone, and multiplayer Season 2. And yeah, I'm pretty sure console is going to be a really important thing this season for Warzone Season 2 because they actually added the ability to turn off crossplay when you were playing ranked in multiplayer and Warzone. You can't do it in regular pubs, but if you want to get away from the hackers on PC, there's a good chance you can actually now do it by turning off the crossplay and only playing people on console. So console might be what I'm actually playing on in Season 2 during my streams and just kind of for the main part of everything that I'm doing. But we're going to see how the anti-cheat works with Warzone Season 2 and all of that. We don't really know yet. Warzone Season 2 is here. Multiplayer Season 2 is here for Black Ops 6. And a lot of you guys might have uninstalled the game because Season 1 was really bad. Let's get these best settings when it comes to controller, graphics, and everything you need to know for Xbox and PS5. Now, when it comes to these in-game settings, I'm going to do this on PlayStation. It's going to be very similar on Xbox, so it won't have to be anything too crazy when it comes to sensitivities and all of that and the graphics. There's not going to be too much crazy things going on, and at the end of the video, I'll show you some dashboards stuff for Xbox and PlayStation. But yeah, starting off with the display settings and the graphic settings, you're going to have 120 hertz refresh rate on. You really want to make sure you have your HDMI 2.1 cable and everything that you really need to make sure you're getting the most out of your PlayStation 5 or your Xbox. 120 hertz refresh rate, you definitely want to check that on because that's going to be very important. Echo mode, I have efficiency. Quality, you want to have your motion blur and your weapon motion blur off. You never want to have any of those on. It's going to make the game just more blurry than it already is, and it's just going to make the game really just kind of bad. So you want to have those turned off. Depth of field, you want to have turned off. Fidelity cast you want to have turned on to sharpen your game a little bit, and then the fidelity cast strength you want to have at 90. And then down on details and textures, you have on-demand texture streaming. You want to have that at minimal, and then have that at small, and then you are good to go. Moving over to the field of view, this is probably the most important thing when it comes to just what you kind of want. If you are playing multiplayer only, then I would recommend kind of doing 100 FOV, maybe 103, maybe 104, maybe 105. But most professional players in the CDL play from anything from around 105 to 100, some a little less than that, but it's kind of the happy medium there is like that 101, 102, 100 area is really, really good. If you play on both Warzone and multiplayer and you just love playing COD in general, I think the best hybrid is 105 to 110. And then if you play only Warzone, I would do 110 to 120. Now, the reason why I like the higher field of view for Warzone, I think 110 is actually the perfect Warzone field of view. If I only played Warzone, I would play on 110. It's because the higher the field of view, the less visual recoil you get. In Warzone, you're staring at a very big map. It's a very open area and open space. You want to be able to see everything in your peripheral vision, and you have a lot of long-range gunfights where visual recoil is going to come into play. So I think 110 is kind of the perfect medium of getting the most aim assist, just having the best vision, seeing my enemies, but also having the least amount of visual recoil I can have. If you're an absolute YY demon moving TikToker, you could play on 120 and you'll be absolutely fine. So again, just for you guys, 110 if you're Warzone only, 110 to 120. If you're a hybrid, 110 to 105. And if you're a multiplayer only, I would recommend 100. That's what a lot of the CDL Pro players are doing. So, that being said, I play at 100 myself because I do play multiplayer and Warzone, and I don't really mind the FOV in Warzone. And on top of that, there's a good chance that I'm going for iridescent in both multiplayer ranked and Warzone ranked, so I definitely don't want to get too used to the high FOV and then have to go back down. I find that annoying. But anyway, that's how the field of view works. ADS field of view is going to be affected. Independent is when it zooms in more. When you zoom in, it's going to actually add a lot of visual recoil. I do not recommend playing on that setting unless that's something that you absolutely must use and you just can't get used to anything else. Weapon field of view wide, vehicle field of view wide, and then if you go down here to the camera, first person camera movement, you want this at least. You do not want this at 100%. You don't need your screen shaking when you were playing Call of Duty. And then I like the inverted flashbang, but that's complete preference and it doesn't really matter. Now on to the fun stuff. This is where you are going to see something a little different than the last video I dropped, and it was because I was kind of having hand problems. Listen guys, I'm 30 years old. I play a billion hours of COD a day since I was about 13 years old. And when I was playing on tactical, clicking my right stick in over and over and over again to slide, and then also just playing on a lower sensitivity with a lower raised stick, it was actually kind of hurting my hand and feeling weird. So I ended up changing to a tall control freak right here, and I use my back button now to slide instead of tactical, and it's kind of just like saved my hand. I don't have any kind of pain or any discomfort anymore when I play. It took me a little bit to get used to, but yeah, I think you don't have to use a tall control freak to play on a higher sensitivity. And if you guys are asking me honestly, I would recommend using 1.65 right here on your screen. Again, it's going to be this that transition of you know, the senses of what they compare to. 1.65 is what 7 used to be. 2.05 is just what 10 is. And I play on a little bit higher of a sense just because I feel like with the higher control freak, I actually am able to control that fast sense a little bit better. That could be all in my head or just preference. And again, either way, it just makes my thumb just not feel horrible. And I can't even believe I'm saying that. But honestly, time's catching up with me. But either way, I'm not going to talk control freak right now. A lot of that's all going to be preference. And I play at 2.05, 2.05. I would recommend, though, if you are just trying to have the most accurate shot, I think 1.65 is a really, really good medium of like being able to keep up with people sliding and diving and all that, but also still being able to be really accurate. So 1.65, or you could try my sense, which is 2.05. And when it comes to aiming, the sensitivity multiplier, I actually do play on 0.85. So that's just going to be basically 0.85 when I'm aimed in. So it's going to be a little bit slower. I feel like I can lock on, and it doesn't feel too fast when I'm obviously trying to keep up with people, because I think 2.05, when I just had it at 1, was a little too fast. So that's what we're rocking right now is 2.05, 2.05 with the ADS sensitivity multiplier of 0.85. And then scrolling through the rest of this, it's not going to be anything too crazy. I'm always going to explain this because this is the most important setting when it comes to console. Now in console, the test stick dead zone, you're going to see here, my left stick minimum. The controller I use on console, for some reason on console, it just feels a little bit different. When I use 0, it just, I don't know, it feels kind of clunky. I can't explain it, but either way, I am going to show you how this works. So you're going to see right here on the left stick where you see that little red ring around the L. That is going to be the threshold of when your left stick actually starts to register on your controller. More of a dead zone that you have, the more of a delay that you're going to have on your controller. And you don't want a delay, especially when you're playing a game with omni movement, sliding and diving and all of that stuff. So you want to lower your left stick minimum to at least 5, but usually you want to go all the way down to 0. And if your controller can handle it, I would keep it at 0, 1, 2, or 3 is kind of like, you know, that like perfect like zone of where you want. If anything's going higher, your controller might be busted. So again, kind of see where you're going. I think 5 is the absolute max, and then you kind of just go from what you want to do on that. Now the left stick maximum is also a very important one, because you can see here, if I go to where it's default, that red rig is going to expand all the way to the edge of the controller. That means in order to get the maximum amount of speed and movement and momentum on my left stick, I have to go all the way to the edge of the controller with omni movement and tactical sprint and slide canceling. You do not want that to be a delay. You want that to happen as fast as possible so you can be as smooth as possible. So that is why I go all the way down to 75. Now, you can try 65. 65 is also good. Once you go any lower, I feel like the controller kind of bugs out. So I would recommend anything from 65 to 85, but anything is better than 99. So the lower you can get, the better for you when it comes to the area of what your controller is kind of using. Every controller is a little bit different, of course. Now, the right stick minimum, I don't like keeping this all the way at 0. I feel like when it's at 0, it's almost too responsive where I kind of over aim. That could be all in my head. A lot of it's preference, but I would recommend starting at 0. Then going to 1, then going to 2, then going to 3, then going to 4, then going to 5. Once you start getting a little bit higher than 5, like 6 or 7, you're still okay. And then anything after that, your controller might be delayed if you're getting a lot, or might be broken if you're getting a lot of stick drift and all of that stuff. Then the rest of this is L2, R2 dead zones. You just want your triggers to be as responsive as possible, because Call of Duty is a game of milliseconds, and you want to be able to shoot as fast as possible. So that is everything that you need to know for dead zones. And then the last thing I didn't mention that I forgot to is also your left stick and your right stick. The more they're moving, the more you're moving, the more aim assist you're getting. And the more aim assist you're getting, the more shots that you're hitting, especially on console. So having less delay and more response is going to help your aim assist, which is really, really nice. So over towards the aiming now. We went through the aiming advanced settings, or the custom sensitivities, I'm sorry. So now we're over at the aiming advanced settings, and you're going to play dynamic. I don't touch the curve slope scale at all. And you could try linear as well. Basically, dynamic is your movement starts fast and then slows down to your aim rate. Standard is the opposite. It starts slow and then speeds up. I don't really like that at all, personally. And then linear is supposed to be like kind of like your straight, like just whatever your sense is playing. That's kind of how it feels. It's not technically like that in COD, because Call of Duty is, you know, it's Call of Duty, guys. It's never, nothing's always going to work perfectly. And people still like linear in this game compared. Most of the pro players play on dynamic from what I know of. Again, all 4 of my players on Atlanta FaZe that I coach, they all play on dynamic, and they're really, really good COD players. So I play on dynamic as well, but a lot of that can be preference. So I would recommend trying all 3 out and seeing what works best for you. I don't recommend testing the slope scale at all. I think I just leave that at 1 no matter what you choose. And then that's kind of what you got to rock with from that. And then you go down to target aim assist. You want that on. ADS aim assist. You want that on. None of the motion sensor behavior. You have all that off. Then you go over to movement, your tactical sprint assist. you're going to have your sprint assist delay at 0, sprint assist sideways on, and sprint assist backwards on. That's just going to be so you have your fastest amount of movement as possible as soon as you can kind of get going. And then after that, you have the rest of this off, off, off. Corner slice is totally preference. I just don't like having that on. And then your slide and dive behavior. Now, look, guys, you can be good at slide only. You don't have to play on hybrid. Hybrid is kind of getting the most out of the movement that you possibly can get without having any delay. But if you just want to hit slides and you're so tired of diving on accident, you just can't get the hang of it, slide only is completely okay. You just don't want to be playing on tap to slide or tap to dive because there's an actual delay in your movement with tap to slide and tap to dive. So I would recommend hybrid if you can get used to it. But if you can't, slide only is a completely understandable and it's completely okay to play on. You will be fine. There are some really, really good players in the CDL and also pro Warzone players that play on slide only and they're still really good. But anyway, moving down after that, you have your sprint restore on, and then the rest of this is going to look like this. Your movement advanced settings shouldn't be too crazy. Just have your single tap to run just in case the auto tactical sprint is not working. You can, you know, kind of get that going by just your left stick in once. And then the auto door peek is something that's actually pretty cool. You can actually automatically peek a door if you're just ADS'd instead of having to hit square. You can have that on if that kind of helps you. That's more of a multiplayer thing. I think it's more important in multiplayer when you're playing search and destroy. But yeah, you can definitely mess with that setting too. And then you just go over to the combat and I'm just going to scroll through this. It's not going to be anything too crazy here. You're going to see everything that you kind of need to know. Combat advanced settings though, you want your interact to be prioritized interact. In multiplayer, this could be a little bit annoying, but if you get used to it, it's actually kind of really nice for doors and like, you know, making cool door plays or trying to be finesse like around like, you know, what you need to pick up and picking up guns. But I would probably recommend tap the reload for multiplayer for most people and then prioritize interact for Warzone players. But either way, you can kind of make both of them work with whatever, you know, floats your boat for that one. And then the rest of this is going to be right here. And then as you keep scrolling down, you're going to have your overlay advanced settings. And that is just going to be this. It's nothing crazy. So there you go with the controller settings on console. Now we're going to go over to the interface. The interface here is going to look like that. You want to go to readability. You're going to go to color customization. You wanted to have your colors here. You can do any color. You can go from green to blue. The enemy could be pink if you want to highlight them just a little bit more of like a brighter color than that darker red. My console colors, I'm probably going to end up changing these again just because I kind of go back and forth with colors. I wouldn't tweak out too much. This is more of a preference thing. But the big thing here that you guys really want to do is color filter 2, color filter target both, and then have the intensities over at 100. It just makes the game more vibrant, which console definitely lacks the vibrant look compared to PC in my opinion. So I think that helps on console quite a bit. And then your gameplay HUD, my safe area, I'm always going to bring it all the way in because that is going to make the minimap as close as possible to the center of my screen, which is where you get all your information. Multiplayer, Warzone, pubs. Your minimap is important. You want to look at it, so make sure you bring that in as much as you can to kind of make sure you don't have to go all the way up to the top left and then all the way back to the center of your screen to get that information. Again, COD's a game of milliseconds. That stuff is actually a lot more important than you think. And then we have square, rotation on. Then we're going to scroll through this. Crosshair settings, you want either static or center dot. I have it on right now. I actually don't know why. That must have reset with the season. I'm not too sure. But either way, you want to have static on because that keeps your crosshair static. When you have it just on, the crosshairs are bobbing. Very annoying. Most players don't have that on. It's just very weird to have that motion while you're slotting and diving and your gun's moving and everything's going crazy on your screen. You don't need more motion on that, so definitely turn that to static or just have the center dot on. And then if you want your crosshair colors, I like to have like kind of that electric blue, but that's all going to be preference here. You can kind of customize your color, which is pretty cool, and do all that stuff. And then the rest is just weapon information, nothing too crazy. And now we're going to move on to the audio. And here you go for the audio. Master game volume, you're going to have dialogue anywhere from 20 to 50, 0 music, 100 effects, and the master game 100. That's what I'm always rocking. I don't use enhanced headphone. I do not think that is good. And then when I play on console, I say this all the time, even when I'm playing on PC. If I'm playing with stock audio, aka console, I think Sucker Punch is the best. So I'm always rocking Sucker Punch. And then that's really all we do for the audio settings when it comes to console. And now that is going to be everything for in-game Call of Duty settings for your consoles, Xbox, and PlayStation. You're going to see they're very, very similar. But the next part of this video is going to be from my old video. I have to actually go catch a flight to the event. But it is the same when it comes to your PlayStation dashboard settings and your performance of your actual console and your Xbox. Nothing has changed, so I'm going to use the clip from my other video to explain that, just so you have some tunes on your actual console as well to make sure you are running at the most optimized console that you can obviously have to enjoy Warzone and multiplayer season 2. But yes, that is going to be it. So I'm going to do the outro now. If you guys want the dashboard settings, it's coming up. But if you enjoyed this video, like, comment, subscribe, and all that good stuff. And as always, guys, I'll see you in the next one. Hopefully you guys enjoy season 2. Call of Duty, please work again. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out, guys. Okay, so for this really quick, you're going to go to your screen and video settings in your console dashboard on PlayStation 5. You're going to go to screen and video. You're going to go to video output. And you're going to go down to over here, which is say auto low latency mode on or off. Make sure you have it on if your monitor and or TV has it allowed, because that is going to be very important. And then of course, make sure that the VRR is on as well to help you out. So right now, what I'm currently playing on, I do not need that or anything of the sort. But if you do have this available, make sure this is on. And of course, make sure you hopefully have your 120 hertz output. And then everything else is going to be good. So again, your VRR you want on, and you want your auto low latency mode on as well, if you can. And of course, if you're not using HDMI 2.1 cables, make sure you have those in there as well, because that is also very important for the 4K gamers out there that are watching this video. And then of course, you want to go to your saved data and game app settings, and you want to go to your game presets and just make sure that you have your performance mode on as well. Not resolution mode, not game default. Just make sure you have your game presets on performance mode. It's also going to help your console out a lot too, so make sure that is set to performance mode. And for the Xbox players, of course, you're going to go to your settings on your Xbox. You're going to go over to general. You're going to see TV and display options. You're going to click into this, and then of course, you're going to see general TV and display options. Your resolution, the refresh rate that you're playing on, make sure you double check that's all going according to plan of whatever you're trying to play on, of course. And then you are going to go over to your video modes, and you're going to go see that you can tick off a bunch of these boxes. Make sure that if you're playing on 4K, you would be ticking off the allow 4K. You want to allow 50 hertz. And then if you allow your auto low latency mode on, if you obviously are able to do so, make sure that is checked off. And then your variable refresh rate is going to be on as well. And that should help you a little bit more to have a smoother version of Call of Duty while you were playing.